Welcome everyone. Today is Monday, September 23rd. It is autumn equinox at 3:23 Central Time. So today, within 23 minutes, we'll be hitting autumn. So this is literally the autumn equinox TV show. And I hope everyone is well out there. And this is the GreenFire television. And so let's get around the sofa, get comfortable for about an hour or so of this electronic campfire of the air, and let's get cozy and look at what the day brings us. And today at the United Nations, there will be a United Nations conference on global warming or climate change. And climate change has been in the air for a long time, but in the last 4 days it's really been heightened with the children of the schools all across America and all across 150 different countries. The children have walked out of school in protest of climate change. So that was like at least 4 million people, 300,000 in New York City, people in Iowa City and different cities in Iowa, plus across the upper Midwest and the entire continent, including Canada and Mexico, Africa, South America, Latin America, Central America, Europe, Middle East, Asia, Southeast Asia, China, India, all the way out to Antarctica. 150 countries in all 5 or 6 continents, stepping out, the children stepping forward and saying, we've had enough. So today will be considered dedicated to climate warming, but underneath that is nuclear weapons. So I'm going to share some pieces that were written in the temperate rainforest of the Pacific Northwest in Oregon and the Cascades. And we're going to look at global warming, but we're also going to look at nuclear disarmament. Because I believe actually that the message of our time is not global warming, it is nuclear disarmament. Although global warming is really, really important, nuclear disarmament is equally even more important. So come gather around, friends, and bring your friends in and look at the golden eternity of this hour and see what we're doing here. So this piece was written when up in the upper Cascadian forests of Oregon, when there was a whole thing about clear cutting the forest, killing all the trees in sight by the big tree killer companies, Weyerhaeuser, Boise Cascade, Louisiana Pacific, Bohemia, and others. And a group of activists for Earth First started blocking roads to stop killing the trees so that this one endangered species would have a chance. And this endangered species was called the spotted owl. So let's look at the spotted owl here. Spotted owl sits in isolation in a cathedral canopy in the high Cascades, in the middle Santiam, up Tombstone Prairie Pass. This has everything to do with global warming. Her song pierces the clinging cloud skirts. Hoodoo, hoodoo, skookum, skookum. Her claws slash every yellow ribbon in sight. Hoodoo, skookum, hoodoo. Hers is a climax perch in ancient forest, sitting high on 1,000-year-old beings, updrafts reaching 250 feet skyward in their ascendant spirals, forming veils of vapor breath, life for this vanishing sister species, and not vanquished. When the last tree is killed, all the humans will die. When the last tree is killed, all the humans will die. The trip finger hair trigger of the logger's chainsaw is being tested with human metal and being arrested. Spotted owl is in her holy earth stance here. She screeches through branches of all remaining trees. Her sound grasps, rearranges skulls, reorders all priorities within earshot, any shot. The killers of the forest in all their hues of the yellow ribbon hear a spotted owl call their name. All tree killers must come to where spotted owl calls their name. It is the callback time of the roll-up of the Bihana government. The Bihana government is the dominant government. In her human voicing, she inscribes through invocation, no compromise in defense of Mother Earth. Her claws ripping into the back of empty minds, her piercing light cry, shattering deep recesses, sanctums of psyche. There is no fallout from this call out. Everything is scattered. Skookum! Hoodoo! The tree killers hear a spotted owl call their name. They must return. They have no choice. Hers is the voice of the call out, the voice of the roll up. In her forested sanctuary, near clear-cut Absalom, charred stumps of Douglas fir, Wasichu name, Chernobyl Charnel, she sees across stripped away Turtle Island. Her species endangered. A little more bloodletting, the tree killer says. Hoodoo! Shatters conifers into needles. Then dry wind parching Wasichu's throat through empty streams. Wasichu is another name for a greedy man. Through empty streams, a 4-year running Pacific maritime drought. This is her crescendo, an ancient cathedral forest. In her last stand, she earthquakes these words into the firmament. These trees have standing. These trees have standing. These trees have standing. In this last stand of old growth, a last strand of silver salmon threads through Gaia's barren hair, silted over with runoff near Brighton Bush River. Spotted owl turns to the medicine ways of the 4 directions. To the east she cries, ho. To the south she sings, ho. To the west she chants, ho. To the north she whispers, ho. To the sky she sings, ho. To the earth she cries, ho. To the two-leggeds, to the people, she admonishes, it is finished. Aho. So in this poem, you can see a lot of the issues being raised by the proponents to shut down global warming. And you see this endangered species called the spotted owl up in the Douglas fir high trees, 300-foot tall trees of the Cascadia mountains of the Cascades up in Oregon. And at the time they were killing all trees in sight, and they still are to this day, as I understand. And a bunch of activists got together and called themselves Earth First and went up there to put a stop to all that tree killing so that they could protect the spotted owl. And so in one indigenous culture after another in Central America, around the Andes, in Africa, in India, in Gwich'in, in upper Alaska, Arctic Circle, all these different indigenous peoples and other peoples of the different continents are facing their own spotted owl last stand. While these tree killers and coal miners and uranium miners and petro fossil fuel miners of natural gas and oil and hydrocarbon are all trying to suck out their last bit of profit before the whole system collapses. So this is a last stand for the spotted owl, but not a last stand for the human species, but it's a real wake-up call that could be a last stand for the human species within 40 years. And so Here at the last part of this poem, it says, spotted owl returns to the medicine ways of the medicine wheel, north, south, east, and west, of the four directions. And to the east she cries, ho. To the south she sings, ho. To the west she chants, ho. To the north she whispers, ho. To the sky she sings, ho. To the earth she cries, ho. And to the two-leggeds, to the people, to the uprights, vertebrates, uprights, two-leggeds, the human beings, she admonishes, it is finished. Aho. And that is what the millions of people at New York City and all around the planet are saying. Just like the spotted owl. They're speaking to all their fellow sister human beings, the two-leggeds, the uprights, the vertebrates. It is finished. So like, pause and reflect on that a little bit. And as we go through our standing up and speaking out, which is a powerful act, and never stop resistance, because resistance is our existence. Resistance is our existence. So we look at this planet, and being that this is autumn equinox, I woke up looking out in the first beautiful sunny blue sky morning I've seen in quite a while. We've had rain for like 3 days in a row, no sunshine whatsoever, lots of rain and wind as well. So this is a welcome day to have some sunshine. We're really grateful for the small things, but the beautiful gift of sunshine. So in that sense, this is called Earth's Sacrament. Divine love comes this September 23rd in an orange orb of light, an embryonic, spherical, divine child in entrainment. The Divine Mother rises. In her birthing, child star is safely asleep, suckling in the deeply enfolded membranes in deep earth. Her ley lines forming the placenta, veins of blood feeding the Divine One deep in her womb. She is a sentient organism, calling us to our awakening, to our responsibility and Earth's surrender rights. We are this divine child, developing in her Mother Earth womb web home. We are her complexity in ectoplex. We are the skin of Mother Earth, breathing her life in atmospheres of bathing blue light. We are called to our awakening, to engage in earth diving, in a campaign for the earth. We are called to take risks, making our evolutionary leap to Homo terrestrialis, earth human, humans in cooperation with the earth. We are called to leap out of our dinosaur skins of Homo sapiens, clever humans, tricky humans, and leap into the life force of our own transformation as children of light. Planetary midwives in this earth birthing, Homo ludens, children of delight, playful humans in ecstasy, non-static reality. Our true nature, Homo novus, reclaiming our truth as earth keepers, day workers, our inheritance of crystal earth at the core of our memory in resonance fields of the ancient ones, our great Mayan ancestry, here in this dawning light, calling our truth, ascendants at autumn equinox, children of Earth star, in radiance, divine love comes pulsing through crystal earth. So that's a very beautiful piece that is affirming of our birthright in Mother Earth, as we are Earth's sacrament. We are Earth's sacrament, a form of divinized light on this beautiful, beloved planet Aqua Terra, water planet Mother Earth, Gaia. And in that sense, I mentioned I mentioned nuclear disarmament as that tension that rides under the wave of the conscious elements of global warming. So this piece is a piece about the early parts of developing the atom bomb on the Columbia River up at Hanford, Washington, where there's like, I don't know, 10 nuclear power plants and enough plutonium to poison every human being on Earth. And the Columbia River was seen at one time, and maybe still is, as the most plutonium polluted river on planet Earth. So that's a cleanup too. Not just global warming of the carbon stuff, but the nuclear footprint. The nuclear footprint, which has been on the backs of every human being born since August 6, 1945. We're looking at 74 years of this nuclear mammon being on the backs of every human being walking around planet Earth since 1945. It's time to get rid of it. We've been carrying this monkey on our back, this 2,000-pound gorilla, since 1945, 74 years. It's time to throw the monkey off our back. The nuclear weapons industry, the nuclear weapons complex, and all nuclear missiles and nuclear weapons everywhere. Everything nuclear. So this is called Ho Buddha Immolates at Hanford. That time, this was a time when all worlds were in reverse, all sacrednesses profaned, all things were possible, some happened. The sun moved in crazy autolus, flattened against the cubicle of a post-Columbian sky. All ghosts, all aberrances, all singed biota of Sisji, Iom, all appearance, all uniqueness, flattened, good hair, straight teeth, beautiful eyes, all the things that said something about the race were dissipated, sent up in cinders in a chalky landscape of disbelief, where black is white, noise is silence, poison is clear water, the post-Columbian world of a flattened, relativized Einstein universe left no morals, ethics, no common sense, no groundedness to discern. Mindfulness was nowhere known, for at truth, the third eye in the sixth sense, beyond the walls of Dromenon. Here, Homo erection moves about in the Kurgan wave, of bulldozers, destruction. Its blade cuts swiftly. The tyranny of reason instaurates the dominator culture, empire. Celtic culture shrivels up under force. The Iliad swatches blood patches of millions in the Ravager combine, the machine in the gardens. As octopus, blessed be Danny Casolaro, martyr in our time, bringing all the Wackenhuts to justice in a world court tribunal, crimes against humanity. His piercing owl cry clearly, eerily scries from the grave where Wackenhut violence put him, in a crime against God, far, far, far from earth, apart from nature, apart from Gaia, her nurturing enfoldments. Here, the destroyer of all life walks. Not Vishnu, not Kalki, not Ishtar, not Shiva, not Shakti. The machine in the garden, I am become the destroyer of all life, walks, and has become idol on earth. The golden cow. Here the mushroom cloud invoked by Western science in Alamogordo, in Las Cruces, in Los Animos, Chicago, Fermi, Ames, Iowa Lab, Manhatter, Mandrake, Manhater, Manhattan, Mandrake, Root Man, Clone, Koans, Birth, Little Boy, Fat Man, Telluride's mad scientists over Telluride Range, Trialemni Riverman crawls, scowls, rattles, death cry, and Sharon. No thing here. Annihilation Man bursts automation, automaton man, full-blown death dance man. whose toll in what numbers of humanity peals across Cascadia, Chewana, Shasta, Tahoma, Turtle Island, Gaia. Charybdis song, this death song, Chernobyl, Challenger, Charnel, death song and dance man, whose toll in the atoll nightly noon fallout, reef coral blowout for Rangaloon, Miraroa, Bikini, Eniwetok, Easter Mass, genocide, people, plant, plankton, planet, Trinity, triangulation, mass assassination of Pacifica, peaceful water planet, Martian energy directing Hanford core. The U.S. dropped 36 A-bombs in the reef madness of 76 in Pacific Ocean. Far, 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 far from Earth, her sacred rootedness, the rivers, the trees of her ways. Here it steps forth from the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna doing last battle on fire floor, the final countdown, and earth feels fine. While the whole Buddha immolates at Hanford. The whole Buddha immolates at Hanford, sucks up the lifeblood of living beings, Willamette, Columbia, Salmon River, Snake River, Yakima River, Deschutes River, sucks up the essence of Gorge, Chewana, the Columbia Gorge. In one irradiated cumulus, the specter blooms, orange in its artifice, as strophe of illumination, illusion, devastation. Here, the iridescent glow of the orange of death mirrors and refractures of Thanatos throughout the Ahimsa valleys of Cascadia, Acadia, Arthurian, Albion, Poseidia, Timaeus' Mabinogion at play in Orpheus resonance fields, Ashura and Ashoka rain down the dawn, death rays run through the valleys of Tillamook, Rogue, Snohomish, Wallowa, Wascow, Cathlamet, Chinook, all burned up, bloated belly up in oceans of plutonium poison. No clear atmosphere in this nuclear fallout. Their song is not Roll on Columbia. Convex lasers shine into the cave and wakes up the great she-bear on Mount St. Helens. Yona Tamanawis. Tahoma moves in regal protection over her children. Yona hears Seattle's promise. Your grandchildren will return as Indians, called hippies. Your grandchildren will be called hippies and will return as Indians. Your grandchildren will be known as hippie, sacred holy man, and will return as Indians. At precisely, the Buddha immolates at Hanford at precisely 8:15 a.m., August 6, 1945. Inhabitants of the epicenter of Cascadia are now mutants. From the silence, once her sacred springs flowed through her veins, her streams, her lifeblood before that time. Enola Gay remembers well her 12 o'clock high over Tri-Cities, Pasco, Kennewick, Richland, August 6, 1945. That time, the during, when the beast begins to move in serpentine directions for vast vasoconstriction of Palouse, the inland empire. No Quetzalcoatl, Kaliak, Kundalini here. Here are the waves of the death grip in anaconda coal and cobalt coils over Cascadia, taking the life out of the snake, parching it, pollution in plutonium blue, Mylar Highways ribbon. The proving ground, Dugway for Howard Hughes, biological chemical genocide garden in the inland empire. The Glomar Challenger, July 23, 1979, in radioactivity, metrics proved the pole shift. In 23's Peter Werlo glows, in one day the earth is flippable. February 1979, Omni, geographic reversals explain geomagnetic reversals in the Journal of Physics. Journal of Physics 2, 1979, 436, page 23. Anton Wilson finds lucky coincidence guiding to a network of adepts that extends far beyond our Earth. This lucky coincidence is guiding a network of adepts that extends far beyond our Earth. In a cosmic trigger hookup to the Enigma star Sirius B, the dark star, Joshua 10:13 says, "And the sun stood still and hastened not to go down a whole day." And the sun stood still and hastened not to go down a whole day. And the sun stood still and hastened not to go down a whole day. Isaiah 38:18, "I will bring again the shadow of degrees gone down in the sundial of Ahastan." The Glomar explorer entrenched in the Mariana Darlingtonia Botanica Pacific Rim planet screen, the salmon refuses return to Cobalt, Columbia. True river of no return, the Snake River. And the Coburg Hills know Eugene's stand. Posse Comitatus declare everything on limits for the Wobblies at Keystone Cafe. Utah Phillips serenades Stupid in concert down at Wow Hall. And Awake the Dead. The merry pranksters cavort in Country Fair around the health food and pool, eating Nancy's yogurt. Grateful Jerry parachutes Wow Hall. In Cascadia, her waters turn Ish Nation to ashes. Her waters turn zirconium orange. She turns to ice and dies in service to the beast. That time Enola Gay remembers well. 12 o'clock high over Richland, Pasco, Kennewick, August 6, 1945. The whole Buddha immolates at Hanford. Women have their thyroids removed, wearing the Hanford necklace, better known as radioactivity, wearing the Hanford necklace right after the Green Run. That time, inhabitants of Cascadia have become survivors in the Hanford Nuclear Reservation, not unlike the Yakima Indian Reservation. Cascadia, all dislocated, all in internment camp, all veterans of domestic wars. Downwinders, veterans of domestic wars. And downwinders are victims of domestic wars. And the atomic veterans, and the human experiments on themselves, their families, their loved ones, their neighbors, and those upwind St. Charles, of Mormon farmers, mothers, fathers, women of the clan of the one-breasted women, the clan of the one-breasted women, the whole biotic race, womb web, echo biospheric complex, each inhabitant as he has done battle with government storm troops, truly shock troops, the shattering image, lifting earth first, the deep darkness on earth, the DOE, Bonneville, the BIA, Bureau of Internal Indian Affairs, BLM, Bureau of Land Management, DOA, Department of Assassins, the DCI, the Forestry are dead on arrival, Department of Agriculture. Here, that time, all in a demilitarized zone firewall denial, in a fireball friendly fire from the friendly fascists of the Reagans, the fiendish demons of denial from the darkness on earth, the Department of Energy, the U.S. government. Enola Gay at 12 o'clock high over Kennewick, Pasco, Richland remembers. All Cascadia, her children, her inhabitants, survivors all that time, victims of domestic wars, Nazi experiments in Röntgenrads of radioactivity on them as a captive population, as they called it, a national sacrifice zone. At Hanford, the national sacrifice area, as Hiroshima and Auschwitz Holocaust attest. The Hiroshima and Auschwitz Holocaust attest. The train of the Department of Energy hate heading toward Bangor and Navy Trident nuclear submarines. The millions of miserable innocents in a human race removal experiment by the Dark Lords and the Dark Lords of Science of the DOE, the Darkness on Earth, the Department of Energy. 18 million dead in these human experiments by the DOE. When will the World Court begin the Hanford War Crimes Tribunals? When will the World Court begin the Hanford War Crimes Tribunals? And the serious downwind, Eotechnic, Eocene, Eolithic. These are the hells from Hell 2 to Hell 9 of Tezcatlipoca, the Department of Energy, Las Vegas, Tonopah, Wackenhut, Indio, Los Animos, Sandia, Livermore, Mercury, Merlino, Olam, Teller, Dark Lords of Hanford, Rocky Flats, Fairchild, Idaho, Cobalt, Dugway, Cheyenne Mountain, Malmstrom, Minot, Grand Forks, Ellsworth, F.E. Warren, Pantex, K.I. Sawyer, Kinchlow, Four Corners, Peabody, Mormon, Uranium, Las Cruces, White Sands, Alamogordo, Glen Diablo Canyon, Rockwell, Little Teledyne, TDA, the White Train, Weyerhaeuser, Wackenhuts, Hearst, DuPont, Vandenberg, Vatican, Canyon, Port Chicago, Haloet, Palo. July 24th, comet Shoemaker runs into Jupiter, and it's Merkaba. This is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. A little portion of Sirius rising on 12/12. The road to Eleusis, pi plus psi equals phi. And that is the Merkaba, July 25th, to July 26, 1994. Merkaba, that is the road to Eleusis, pi plus psi equals phi. Elegies for elegant architectures unlocking the golden keys to the kingdom of philosophy, the Xingu, Kayapo, and Lakota. And the NTS, it stands for the Nevada Test Site, and the TDA stands for the Trojan Decommissioning Alliance up on the Columbia River. So this is an antidote to the mesophytic forests. The antidote are the mesophytic forests of old growth of the Pacific Northwest, the Douglas fir, the redwoods, and all great biota on Mother Earth. So this is the planet art hole, and the bear has given us bear paw print on this. And this is a little bit of what's underneath. The global warming is a longer festering disaster called nuclear holocaust. And that is that nuclear weapons are the most important thing facing Mother Earth to get rid of. So let's get rid of all nuclear weapons. So this is dedicated to those activists and peace activists, both present and living, and who have passed on, who have played many years in prison. And those people of the plowshares who are going to prison now at Kings Bay in Georgia, many of whom are members of the great Catholic worker movement. And that is just a little portion of what we're dealing with. And it's so, inside of that is a psyche. And in the psyche is something really interesting here. For this goes back a long, long, long way. And so we'll get inside the psyche of these nuclear scientists. And those who work at Teledyne Wachang, those who work at Rockwell, those who work at Collins, those who work at Duane Arnold Energy, these are all people who really can't be touched. They've disconnected. Their conscience is somehow put on the shelf while they go and do nuclear stuff. It's time to put them out of their misery. And it's going to be a sad day. We're calling it that this is going to be the end. As Jim Morrison says, this is the end. This is the end. So this is called Coming into Nehweh Segovia, which is the name of the Western Shoshone Treaty of Nevada. All of Nevada is really, the name is Nehweh Segovia. It is really Western Shoshone land, according to the Treaty of Ruby Valley of 1863. This is out by the nuclear test site. Coming into Nehweh Segovia, this is Area 1 and Area 51. We are beginning to follow the pollen path, not the plutonium path, through this ordeal of plutonium at the gateway of Mercury. The breakthrough is the eminence of our crystal consciousness, that we are very near and in the frequency range is revealed. We are standing in the reservoir of the waters of eternal life. We are standing in the reservoir of the waters of eternal life. We are called to the test site to undergo the Pluto purification for the cessation of suffering of all sentient beings. The Kala Chakra initiatic autochthonic rites. Turtle Island provides the true test for the joy of this ordeal. In the peduncle, through the conscious groping, it is seen that all is forgiven. The gates are thrown wide open as we surrender in the planetary earth birthing rites. The gates are thrown wide open as we surrender in the planetary earth birthing rites. We see the all in life as we constellate the template, the planetary blueprint, leaping into the garden in little child feet in this marriage to the earth of life at Omega. Opening up the Psi Bank, unloading the Kairos, as we continue to enfold loaded time. The heart of the shamanic tree, silently growing under Nehweh Segovia, nurtures this planetization of consciousness. Humanity at the Aleph of the Sephiroth, the infinite light of deity, the Kabbalah of the tree of life, the Ainu know. Ruckus is preparing to return from out past the metropole, out past the environs of Urbania, where 6 city dwellers no longer wanted him and kicked him daily into the daylight glare of alleys as unwanted truth, as hunchback, as homeless, as itinerant waif singing the song of America. Through Kennedy's assassination, America's coup d'etat, as saint, as fool, Ruckus is bringing back the world's shadow, pushed away by gibberish of metropole, for all to see, for all to face as their Berlin Wall of nuclear madness, a nuclear nightmare at Mercury, at the nuclear test site at Nehweh Segovia, heretofore kept conveniently out of sight, out of mind. Breaking ranks, Ruckus returns as hunchback from out where the tree of world sorrow is kept, from out where the world's shadow is shoved by the businessmen, the merchants, the market, the good Americans of Metropole, out where Indios live, people of the Great Spirit. Businessman's greed throws his hatred, his nuclear missiles at Western Shoshone Nation, at Nehweh Segovia. Ruckus is bringing it all back home to the merchants of Metropole to take a look at, to reclaim, to own as their very own, their portion of the world's shadow. Ruckus has been hanging out on the tree of world sorrow too long in silence. Finding the runes, he comes down, calling Yggdrasil. He now appears on the shadowless, shining, police-swept streets of Metropole as the hunchback, dressed in an unwelcome Christmas suit, showing us in broad daylight our naked truth, the long bag of nuclear testing we drag behind us, now stretching visibly these thousands of miles from the heart of darkness, from the belly of the beast defiling Nehweh Segovia. Ruckus walks our truth for us through the dense concrete forest of metropole, bringing the shadow who knows back into the metropole to see us from way out there, to face us, scurrying from our malls to our condos, trying to evade the truth. The shadow who knows us so well brings us to become bear witness to our lives. Dame Lady Raglan is loved at the wishing well. In her Goodwill shoes, her hydrocarbon hefty Exxon raincoat, and her bag lady angst. Her daimon, the descendants of Faust, the dementia of dictatorship of the species in its all-out thermonuclear dimension. All she wants is sovereignty. Will you love her unconditionally, eros et agape, the flame tender in rage, fire in water? Will you love her unconditionally? The prevision of the Colombian conquest time of Cortez is being removed from the world screen, being replaced by Earthscan, profanos becoming sacral. We are beginning to enter a middle way, mental in its Madhyamika Tankas, Milky Way in its mandala movement, Pleiades in its constant pulsing. The holiness of the light of all beings coming into this moment of the eternal now, all their suffering, Magonia at right angles to Aquaterra, Zohar in Gnosis, of the Magi of Zoroaster in the 6th century BCE. Our planetary commons are echozoic in emergence, in the mid-range of our triune mind. The triple-form goddess of the triarchic corpora colossa, trimorphic, the rainbow bridge of the global brain, blossoming forth as seed bursts into the 5-rayed day-star herb. Pentacles of light, trimorphic proto-Anoia, in perfect asymmetry in Neve Segovia at the gates of Pluto, are affinity groups in anarchy, love and rage, carrying the dead up on Sarcobatus Flat, dancing in the desert of our lives. The stones crying out our vision of peace. Walking the dawn star, we plant crystals in arroyos. We set the green print of the temple of the earth in resonance transduction harmonics, radiosonic architectures of chromatic light and sound, affirming the truth, the Treaty of Ruby Valley of 1863, in the Amargosa Desert Walk of 1990, Wovoka returning with his peyote ghost dance vision, smoking the pipe of the roll-up, arriving on white buffalo calf woman wind. Ruckus hauls up morning. He shows us the black angel hovering over ground zero. He shows us Dextra Dei, lovingly holding the atomic veterans, the downwinders, gold domes of Zagorsk appear at Kazakhstan, Theotokos as a blue Madonna of Medjugorje is seen bilocationally on top of Shoshone Peak and the Hill of Apparitions near Kizilkoga, drawing down her moon chant. Nevada semi-politics wear Shoshone friendship badges. In medicine fire circles, seeking the inner reaches of outer space at ground zero. Ruckus hauls up the men from Orion, covert cosmic visitors wearing dark blue suits, white shirts, red ties, sinking plutonium pollution of the earth, able to tolerate pollution, toxic chemicals, their agenda negative, not agonized about genocide of the species. The men in black commence their third battle going on right now, to trigger humans into a nuclear conflict, to gain ultimate control. All this denied by the priests of empire, anthropologists, archaeologists, psychologists, historians, nuclear physicists, official sources of information. People would remember the men in black, the destruction that occurred before the fall of Atlantis. The priests of the big lie, denying Atlantis' history, not admitting that they are covert cover for the men in black. The men in black, these are men in black suits, white shirts, red ties, black shoes. The authors of fratricide, the good scientists in universities smile deftly. These walk-ins have held dominant paradigm on earth, knowing these end times. Ruckus delights in the shadow, delights in exposure of the men in black, seeing the crime of carnality, of the suffering of humanity, on the cross of the tree of world sorrow, the crucifixion of holiest earth, Mother Earth, at Neway Segovia, through nuclear testing and plutonium pollution, through Star Wars, underground bombing of Western Shoshone Nation, the ultimate horror of an ongoing, continuous 40-year nuclear war in the womb of Mother Earth at Neway Segovia, genocidal blood dripping from the fingers of the men in black, in their university, scientific, military, industrial compounds of Venetian blinded backrooms of smoking mirrors, throne room of Tezcatlipoca. Ruckus sees Pluto's fury, stealing the Promethean fire, hard casing it in underground nuclear missile silos. In clear mind, he sees it stored at Mercury, holding the sovereign nation of Neway Segovia in siege. The Western Shoshone, under a 40-year occupation at Ground Zero, Ruckus sees the concrete jungle of Metropole, the jangled mazes of cities, the insanity of Urbania, the lobotomization of legitimate social memory, the sleepwalking disease of narcolepsy, the mononucleosis of culture as direct creations of this fury, acausal connecting principles indicting the men in black under the Nuremberg principles. Ruckus crosses the cattle guard and seizes the fire. Pluto, in his plutonium pollution, no longer holds sway. Even as he seeks to truck radioactive waste to Yucca Mountain, Ruckus, in his backcountry night chant actions at Shoshone Checkpoint, Skag, reveals the still point in the hurricane of the tyranny of reason. Mephisto Waltz is being turned into a sonata. Ruckus returns to Metropole, carrying the long bag we drag behind us into the city center, returning with the stolen fire from Mercury. His cattle guard action complete, he shapeshifts into Prometheus. Through ophidic rites, he brings the phallos of Maypole into the city center, smashing Metropole and all microwave ovens in nuclear family homes, restoring the hearth fire to the commons of the community. The city core is transformed into village bonfire rites of Beltane. The cauldron of carriage wind restored. Blue pollen maize woman returns to restore the heart fire to each home. The city now becomes a microscore of global village. Community consciousness gained in reclaiming Neway Segovia. The Sheed appear to return in reseeding Australis Aboriginalis, the dream time of the Muri. Novalis is invoked as children in rainbow ribbons dance around the pinwheel of the galactic center. The Kuksan Suum connecting them to Hunab Ku. The village Maypole dance rites deep down into the purple blue hues of the seraphic heart fire of the Christos, where the central star Alcyone sun, the galactic hub, where the sylphs, gnomes, salamanders, and little ones play, where the flames tickle tease, dance tender, and the shadow integrates Ione. And the shadow integrates Ione. And Ruckus invokes, in the beginning was the dream, the seed sown in the sound print of the Logoi, of the crystal jeweled mind, whose compassionate heart is radiogenetically emitted now in the voice of the diviners of harmony. I love you. The quantum leap of the echistic eidetic region of the fourth realm, Dath, the light body, brings the giver of the searching, walking pilgrimage to the purple flame, the pulsing, shimmering fountain of the triangle of Sabaoth, Baphomet in planetary cleanup crew. The resonance of the matrix, even in this unutterable darkness of the during, riding the tiger through the night of the jaguar, the Cartesian jadewalkers of the conquest, the Wagnerian Das Rheingold of Faust. Nietzsche spake Zarathustra as Overman, saying, the mitre of the Hellenic bishop smashes millions in the papal pen of conformity, in the imperium of Western ecclesiastical onslaught, conscription into the congregation of the dethroned Christ, the slave ship of empire, drawn by penguin parrots on skates of disempowerment, the cardinal stritch lance in the crucified body of the Christos, the dark sin of the patriarchal nights of time, Benedictine ticks on the Vatican wall of inhuman misery, marching the minions of catechins into the maw of world sorrow. More taunts to put underfoot as planetary echoes of internment to grow out of the hole of the Roman nightmare, the church of the tyrant, holding the keys to the throne of the tyranny of reason, the long night walk through the chancery of the doctrine of materialism, known as science, creating void of course for howdy no shouty. Ruckus continues in the turning of the wheel, Rhoda, Tarot, Torah, the Grand Ronde. Decanuita sings the Song of Dawn, the Song of Solomon. Dianic, Ophidic rites are danced on the far edge of Maya, moon of Gaia, reclaiming the names, the sacred geometry, reconsolating the crystal center of the returning solar lords, not afar, Zohar energies, their resonance fields, through the electromagnetic radiation belts of the sacred body of Earth at Neve Segovia. In this quantum leap, no one is left behind. It is encoded in our RNA, in our DNA. It is enshrouded in the cloud of unknowing, the within of our crystal being, of our transmitter in resonant transduction of this involution, this inflowing of light. Transforming the wheel of circumstance, we square the circle through our ordeal of plutonium at the gateway of Mercury. We begin to follow the pollen path. Reclaiming our inner ground zero, we return to and lay claim to our core center, the Ungrun, the ground of our being. Through our Edi Pingala, Erishkigal connects up our third-dimensional and stellar selves, long kept from us by the serfs of the men in black. This hollow metaphoric awakening brings ecstasy to earth as the Alcyone Council returns to earth, awakening the goddess of the sky, the ancient dragon awakening, as the eye of the Creator is fixed on earth once again. Arcturus broke through the control of Orion, activated Mayan centers in certain individuals' brains, challenging the dominant Earth paradigm of the men in black. Through planetary surrender rites at the nuclear test site in Neve Segovia, the breakthrough in connecting the third dimensional and stellar cells leads to solar consciousness, through which all beings are energized and given light, green light, to heal echo catastrophes of the men in black. This place is called Yuktraveni, the meeting place of the three rivers, the cattle guard crossing of the test site within, the Rainbow Bridge, where we, the irreconcilables, the crazies, the wildest of the wild, who would not accept the final power of the white man, the Heskes of the Apache Chiricahua live. Ho! Up on Yucca Mountain sits Paunai Otishan, Apache holy man. There Coyote saw him, crying peace. In this breakthrough, we reclaim our mask of rage, our planetary art night chant, short-circuiting the Armageddon script. We march on as keepers of the flame. We march on as keepers of the flame. We are rolling wheels out of our center, the cognate becoming recognizable. In the etheric overcurrents, Asclepius moves in steerage of Tijuana Fjord, through the Straits of San Juan down Chewana Gorge. On the journey to Tikautimanuis, we arrive in following our bliss in Aquaterra, this blessed water planet, faith hardened into concrete reality through commitment, the direct action of civil resistance at Neve Segovia reveals a sanguine realization of the grape and grain. In the vineyard, pilgrims swimming in the chalice of wine, breaking bread in desert solitaire, in transubstantiation becoming the body and blood of this holiest earth, the heart of the Christos. So this is called Coming into Neve Segovia. It's a 9-page piece, but it really shows the underpinnings of what nuclear disarmament is all about. By becoming an activist and going out to a nuclear test site and go stopping those nuclear bombs out there, which we have done. We haven't had an underground explosion of nuclear bombs out there since 1992. That's because we went out there and shut it down. And so that's what we have to do again. But just know this is in the spirit of every human being. And we all are part of the answer. So this is some of the dark side of what we're dealing with. So at the last part here, we'll bring up a really nice piece about wave near New Shore, if we can find it. Okay, page 13. This is from my book, Gaia Poems, page 13. So this is bring us up to a little bit of who we are as well. Changing Woman comes. This is wave near New Shore, a blue star and water planet. Changing Woman comes, shape-shifting into sparrow. Keep your eyes on her, she will lead you. She comes this morning sitting on a branch of the soft maple this autumn equinox. She comes looking into the window of morning. A new sun is here this day, taking in more of the light. A lens takeaway ceremony. Patterns of a lensless reality begin to form. A silver thread peeks through. Out of the corner of vision, I catch her flit in a glimpse. She becomes a star, Uva. In the particle wave beam, she rides the Zavuya back to her place in the universe, one star over from central sun Alcyone. And as part of this lasting ceremony, in the mist, the radiant one pulses new life through water planet. In the experimental zone, great trekking from the star reaches is starting to become a success. In the seeding by the great ones, the planetary cleanup crew, and the turning of the 144,000 rainbow dreamer wheels, this is the diviners of harmony who have chosen to set their sights and resonance fields on this sacred earth as the great wave returns. And the root race explorers, the flora, fauna, aqua, mineral kingdoms, are not forgetting what they came to holiest earth for from star systems far away. As earth birthers, our planetary spiritual midwifery kindly bends to ease us toward the sacred lodge through the rainbow hoop of all the nations. And this lives in the sacred council circle in the center of the sacred lodge pool that resides as the holy rood, which is the sweet medicine tree of the most great peace. And as wave nears New Shore, a blue star on water planet, a silent message is heard riding in on the Zavuya. Surf's up. So may surf be up for you and all of yours as you work for a planet free of nuclear weapons and free of global warming. And do your work. Peace out.